Joining me on the line for the second time ever, believe it or not, Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi on the line. Hey, Anna, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back. You know, when I saw you on the list, I was happy to be here last year, and to think that I'm here for another season, well, that's great.
That's always good when you get another season, isn't it?
It sure is. Keep paying the bills.
And you're on what, season 4 of True Conviction?
Yep, we're on season 4.
All right, so for the people at home that may not know what we're talking about in our conversation last time, explain what True Conviction is.
True Conviction is a true crime television show from the prosecutor's perspective, homicides. And that is because I'm a former homicide prosecutor, 21 years in the Brooklyn DA's office, 16 of those in homicide. And while there is no absence of material in the true crime space, I really didn't see a couple things that I thought was missing. And that one was enough of a focus on the victim, who they were in life. And as prosecutors, we get to know those families very well while we handle those cases. And also just through the prosecutor's lens, both through the investigation when we work with investigators, but also as we take it into the courtroom and showing you those trials and tribulations and hopefully a good outcome by the end.
And season 4 has premiered already, correct?
Yes, last week was the premiere.
Now, let me ask you this. I mean, there's a lot of these cases come across your desk. When you're setting up a show, there is a certain level of entertainment to it. You got to, do stuff that people are going to watch. How hard is it to pick cases for this with the nature of what you're dealing with?
There's certainly plenty of them to look at, as you know. So it's as you said, of course they need to be done in a way that's compelling for an audience to watch. But for us, there's a couple things. One, for the television show, we won't do the case if the family does not agree and asks us not to, because we think it's about them first. And then we try to look at cases that are different. They highlight different parts of the country, because where a crime happens is impacted by the community, the resources, the amount of personnel that can work on a particular case. And so it's trying to check different boxes to highlight different types of cases, different types of evidence, so I can really start to show what always kept me interested all the years is how very different these cases are from one another. But more importantly, too, to really show more about the victim, which I always think there's too much emphasis on the people or person that commits the crime and not enough on the person who was victimized.
Now, this is going to sound kind of like a weird question. Have you guys thought of, are there, I don't want to say a funny case, but a case that kind of, has that, I don't know. I don't want to say, I don't know how to say it without sounding like a horrible human being.
No, I think I know what you're saying. And while the case, I'm going to say no, there are, and I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but there's cases that all of a sudden something happens and you have to laugh.
Exactly.
There's comedy involved, but that's okay. By the way, we work in this world, prosecutors and law enforcement. We say there can be light moments, just like when I am trying a homicide case in the courtroom. There's nothing funny about that case, but there can be that light moment that helps break the tension and kind of lets everyone relax for a moment, find some lightness in this very dark matter. And that's not a bad thing.
Of the cases you have for this season, was there one that was tough or tougher than others? I'm trying to ask something without sounding like a horrible human being.
I'm going to help you, but you're not sounding horrible. They all get you. They all get me, at least, in a different way. But I always have been very hesitant to handle homicide cases involving children. They're just a little too much for me to wrap my brain around. Who can do something to a pure, innocent child, even though obviously no one should do this to anyone. And we did focus on a case of a 11-year-old who was, or maybe she just turned 12. And it was just so painful, even just to hear her mom talk about it, let alone what she must be facing day to day at the loss of her child. But yet we thought it was important because these cases happen, so you can't shy away from things that make you uncomfortable.
Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi. Forgive me, am I saying the last name correctly?
You are. It's pretty good. It's
okay.
Not an easy one.
I've tried to remember it from last time, and I've got this thing about pronouncing people's names right, so forgive me for that. But Anna, you got the fourth season of this coming out. What else is going on for you? Because I know you're a busy lady.
I am. I do a weekly podcast with my co-host Scott Weinberger called Anatomy of Murder. So no, I can't seem to get too far away from the subject matter, but it's also, it's what I know. It's what I care about. And podcasting gives us a different audience. And we've been fortunate to have an incredible audience that really cares about these cases, and they give us ideas that we focus on not just cases that ended up in the courtroom, but also cases that are still unsolved. If we can shine a light to maybe help someone in those cases, all the better. We handle a whole different variety of cases in that podcasting, which is a bit of a freer format.
I'm, again, trying to think of a way to ask a question without sounding like a horrible human being. Is it surprising to you that this subject matter means so much to people? Because there's some people out there that they'll listen to the podcast or they'll watch the show and they get completely wrapped up in it.
Yes and no, because
Okay.
I've lived this in a way that it's what I care about. It's why I wanted to go to work every day. But it's like, wow, people want to just on their own listen to this all day long, or at least enough of it. For a while, I honestly didn't get it in the beginning. But I think I do now, and I think part of it on the in the lighter front, if you will, is because they are really interesting. I could talk to you about 5 cases, and you're going to be like, whoa, 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 because there's something really interesting in all of them. I mean, that is a fact. But I also think people get pulled in because they care about hearing this, and it's also trying to wrap your head around how can people do such things to others. It's the psychology of it that is horrible and fascinating, and I really think it's only through insight can we ever hope for any sort of change to have less of these.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with people really consuming this as long as there is some understanding that it's real.
I think that's an interesting way to say it, because over the last couple of years, it seems like the true crime genre has blossomed in a way that I don't think a lot of other podcasts have, because, you have the people talking about, sports, you have people talking about politics and all this other stuff. But man, you start going into the true crime stuff and there are people, they are hardcore passionate about listening to it and have to have more of it.
We have people all the time that write and say Anatomy of Murder, it's not enough once a week, come to us every day. And I was like, there are not enough hours in the day for us to do that type of work, to do it every day. But I appreciate how much they want to hear more, because if they're going to hear it, I want them to hear about from the people that are actually impacted, because just like in the television show, True Conviction, we are talking to actual survivors, family members of the victims, the investigators who worked the cases, the prosecutors. So let you hear it firsthand from the men and women, the people that have been impacted and who do the work. Because, also as a side note, I think if we're going to have faith in our justice system, and some do and some do not, it's starting to really hear from the people involved. And I look at it as a side benefit if there is a renewal in that faith. Well, that's a good thing for me to do too.
Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi from True Conviction on the line. Anna, is that on Discovery or Discovery Plus?
Discovery Plus is all past seasons, and Investigation Discovery is new episodes every Tuesday night, 10 Eastern, 9 Central.
And when's the podcast? What days does that come out?
Tuesdays, 2 for Tuesdays, whole new meeting.
Very nice. Anna, thank you so much. It was great to talk to you again. It's always fascinating. You have yourself a good day, all right?
Thank you. Yep, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.